Mahomes looks to throw it. Pump faking right side. He wants it. A comeback. It is caught by Kelsey. Touchdown! Kansas City. The game is over. The Kansas City Chiefs are champions. How about those Chiefs?
Welcome to another episode of the Kingdom Corner. We're here in season 2, Dale. I mean, the Kingdom Corner, we're basically established now as a podcast, I feel like, right?
That's right. That's exactly right. I love the t-shirt.
Super
Bowl champs.
Super Bowl champs. That's right.
There you go.
I mean, you got to represent. I mean, it does get me a little riled up, though, when people come and say, oh, another one of those bandwagon fans, huh? And I'm just sitting here thinking, man, if these people knew who they were talking to. We were fans long before Patrick Mahomes or Andy Reid was on the scene.
Yes, long before. Some lean years, as we like to say. Lean. Right. Yeah. And frustrating years with Schottenheimer. So.
Yep. Lots of good and bad all mixed in there. So, but man, we got a new season underway here, or about to be underway. We're in the off season right now. Had a couple preseason games coming up on our third one later on this weekend. And so, man, lots to cover. We'll go over the things we can, and hopefully the things that we can't, you'll forgive us on, or at least send us a message and say, hey, cover this topic and we'll make sure to hit it next time. So, but let's just start this. So for the preseason and training camp and so forth, has there been anyone that stood out to you so far?
Well, social media is Justin Ross, right?
That's what they say. That's what
the social media team is pumping Justin Ross all over. So I don't know if that's to trade him or to what, but he's getting a lot of time on the screen there. So, but I think we talked the other day, and I was telling you that I saw on the X, I guess it's now called Twitter.
Yeah, Twitter is no more.
Twitter is no more. So X, that he only had 2 snaps when Mahomes was his quarterback.
Yeah.
So that tells you a lot right there, that the coaches are still looking at him and still evaluating him and his talent. So, and maybe Mahomes doesn't trust him. So I know there's a lot of people in the media high on Justin Ross right now, but the numbers don't lie.
Yeah. And it's like I told you before too, is a lot of these clips that we see from training camp, how many snaps do you think they take in training camp? I don't really know, but hundreds and hundreds.
Yeah.
I mean, easily. And we see 3-4 clips of a guy, I think, of, one snap here out of, 500 or however many there are. And like, man, this guy's the next big thing. And so, yeah, these clips that I'm seeing, and I'm not saying he's not a great talent or won't be a great talent, but I just want to see something on the field first, because a lot of these clips we're seeing are not against the ones on defense. So I want to see him do some of the same things against the 1s and 2s even.
Yeah, and I want to give credit where credit's due, because you have called this from the beginning. I think there's probably even a tweet out there, you asking that question. When's he going to go against the 1s? And so he hasn't, but so I'm sure we can dig that up. But other than that, I'll tell you who impressed me, and this may not be a shock, but Travis Kelce coming in looking a little thinner.
Yeah.
Looking like he's ready to go and, defend the title, defend the Super Bowl. So that's probably been who's most impressed. This is how the guys are ready to come in and work hard.
Yeah. I think as far as the offensive side, the one who's impressed me the most is actually the wide receiver from the New York Giants, and not Tony, the other one, Richie James. That guy has been showing up in these preseason games. And, I mean, has himself a touchdown or 2 here. And, man, he has been sure-handed when the ball's come his way. Even on punt returns, I've seen him reach back to grab a ball to catch it and pull it in, instead of letting it go over his head and not dropping it. I mean, that's a shocker.
Yeah.
I mean, but what a great feature to have in a return man, a guy who is sure-handed. So he has been impressive to me. I mean, he came in, people were talking a little bit about him, and not much, but he has, to me, lived up to any expectations somebody would have had for him.
Yeah. So, he's been good. He's been fun to watch. All the rookies have really been fun to watch and see them grow and develop. Even the second-year guys grow and develop, and see them get better each and every day.
Yeah, no doubt. So the other one that's kind of stood out to me is a defensive guy And so it might not be a surprise to some people, but there's this defensive guy who plays at linebacker who has led the team in tackles both preseason games. And I'll say this too. I know it's preseason, and so everybody doesn't get the same amount of snaps. I understand
Right.
that. But even so, you still led your team in tackles, and that is Cole Christensen, that linebacker.
Yeah.
So the Chiefs are going to have some hard decisions to make on this roster coming up. There's only 53 spots for players this year, and man, it seems like they got a lot more talent than 53.
Yeah. Well, hopefully Brett Beach can hide some of those guys on the practice squad and people forget about them. But I don't think that's going to be the case.
Yeah, the problem is a lot of these guys are showing out in the preseason games. And so because of that, man, I feel like there's several of these guys who are going to be on 53-man rosters and maybe not even with the Chiefs.
Oh, man. Let's hope not. Let's hope we can keep them all. Let's be greedy. Let's be a little greedy with our roster.
Hey, I'd be okay with that. Let's keep them all. So, but one thing that is different this year as far as the roster goes is the quarterback position. You know, with the 49ers, I mean, just falling apart, not due to their own anything they did, just injuries got their quarterback, and you ended up in that NFC Championship game, and Brock Purdy goes out. I mean, all their backups go out, and all of a sudden, I think Deebo Samuel was taking all their snaps. And it wasn't good. And so they made a rule, and surprisingly, it wasn't even the 49ers who brought this rule change up. It was the Lions. And they brought a rule change up to add an additional roster spot for a third quarterback, which does not go against your 53-man roster. So you can basically have 54 with 3 quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Which I think is going to help the Chiefs out because their quarterback position right now is looking really good. They're top 3 with Mahomes, and then you got Blaine Gabbert, and then I think it's his 3rd year, right? Shane Buechele out of SMU. So they're looking good this preseason, and we know Andy Reid loves to have a veteran, so I don't think Blaine Gabbert's going anywhere soon.
Right, and then Shane Buechele, man, he is balling, straight throwing the ball and keeping plays alive from what little I've seen of him playing, but it's just been impressive. And so I'd hate to give him up to back up somebody. So I think he can he may not be an NFL starter, but he's going to win you a couple of games. What is that guy like? Gardner Minshew?
Yep.
Or
Minshew, yeah.
Yeah, that's what he reminds me of. Just kind of like a shot in the arm and, hey, let's go and do this. He may not go on a 10-game winning streak, but he may win you a few games if Mahomes and Blaine Gabbert were hurt.
Hey, I'd take it.
Oh, yeah.
So
we're hoping we're not getting to our third quarterback. But.
Yes, absolutely not. So, but yeah, so he seems to be doing really good. And I think if it was the same roster positions as last year with still the 53 and, you don't get a third extra on there for your quarterback, they would have a tough decision to make whether to put all 3 of those quarterbacks on their roster or to put one on their practice squad, which is probably going to be picked up by another team. So
right. Yeah.
It helps with that conundrum, if nothing else. But then, in the preseason games here, they've seemed pretty deep at wide receiver. They've seemed pretty deep at linebacker. They've seemed pretty deep at running back. Man, even their offensive line seems to have some pretty good depth to it. And so, man, I don't want to jump to conclusions at all, but I think there's going to be at least 5 players that are on the Chiefs right now who are going to be on 53-man rosters for other teams.
Whew. Yeah, but that's good for the program. Having talent run through, and so good for the program. Shows that Brett Beach is doing, and his team is doing a heck of a job identifying talent and finding it and bringing it to camp. So,
yep, absolutely. So here's a few of the new rules for this coming season. So one of the things that a lot of people are talking about is the fair catch rule on the kickoff. So if you fair catch it, anything within the 25-yard line through the end zone, fair catch it, you get it at the 25, no matter where. But Dave Tobin had mentioned this in one of his press conferences the last couple of weeks, and I think it's true. And we've seen it in the preseason, there's a lot more squib kicks coming now.
Yep.
And because you can't fair catch a squib kick, it's already on the ground. And so they're going to squib kick it down to the, 5-yard line or wherever they can get it to and force you to return it either way. And so I don't know that the rule's really going to have the desired change that the NFL wants, but it's a rule.
As long as they don't turn the kickoff into the XFL or whatever, the CFL or whatever it is.
The XFL where they're like lined up 5 yards apart or something like that.
Yes, and the guy's back there and he kicks it up, and it's like, oh, this is why even have. I mean, there's something magical, I think, about the first kickoff of the season, or even of the game. Just the energy's building. Everyone in the stadium's ready to go. The players are ready to go. And then that's what you're going to do. It's going to be so deflating. I think kickoffs are great, and they should stick with them.
Totally agree. So it is part of football. It's a physical sport. The guys know that coming in. So it's just, we don't want to see injuries by any means, but
right. Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's just part of the game. And
when you take that out, you take the kickoff out. Some of those guys don't get on the field unless it is special teams.
Yeah. Yeah. And think about this with kickoffs and punts and everything. How many of those have changed the game over the years with one great kickoff return? So,
the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
The punt return.
Exactly.
Yeah. Changed the game.
Yeah.
So.
And they'll continue to change the game, but you take that out and it's just, it's just going to change the game in its entirety. So, anyways, let's move on from that. Another new rule they have is the failed 4th down conversion. So, if a team goes in on 4th down and does not convert it, it is automatically reviewed now. And so it is an automatic boot through. So if it's a successful 4th down conversion, they do not review it. It's still would require a coach to challenge it to overturn it. So only failed 4th down attempts are reviewed. So apparently all those quarterback sneaks and such, they want to make sure they get it right.
Yeah. I'm with them, but they need to have a guy just in the booth, or a guy or gal just in the booth, just looking at every play almost and saying, and just correcting.
Well, yes and no. I would agree with you and disagree with you with that. Just part of it, you don't want to review every play because every play can have a penalty and every play can be stopped.
Right.
Reviewed.
I'm talking about, like the big ones, like the pass interference calls, or
Yeah. So, and part of that too, I think there's part of that game that you want there to be an element, and I'm going to say this now and not believe it or agree with it later in the season.
You need to write this down. When we lose a game because of the refs,
I know. It's going to come back to bite me. I understand that. I get it. But I will say there is part of the game where you want the human element in it. That's what gets fans riled up and what keeps them talking about the game for a week or two. Right. It's all done by computers and done by, making sure every little play is called exactly right.
Yeah.
And there's nothing for fans to talk about. I was like, well, we won.
I think
that'd be the end of it.
I can think of one example. Imagine if they just reviewed calls and they didn't slow the game down, and the replay person was like, yeah, you got that right, or no, that wasn't holding, and I think of was it Chris Jones hitting Tom Brady in the face? Yeah. And they blow in that personal foul, which was
when he swiped down and they called it and he actually didn't hit him.
Yes. Imagine if they could have saw that and like, nope, you got it wrong. Meet up, pick up the flag. Let's keep, 3rd down, 4th down, whatever it is, Chiefs ball, whatever it would be. This, it would just have to be speed. It couldn't be like.
Well, here's the side that I see of it too, though. If they do that, they can call holding on every single play.
Well,
every single play.
Every play, yeah.
And so where do you stop?
I guess just like the flag plays or the no calls.
So they only well, if you say the flag plays or no calls, that's every play.
That's every play. I mean,
that's what I'm saying is where do you draw the line at though? You can't just say let's review every play because then every play is going to be reviewed and every play can be changed. So
well, I mean, like that Judson Watson pass interference, like in the preseason game, which clearly was not like offensive pass interference, but they, it just killed the drive. You know how penalties go; they just kill drives, and they just. But let's review every play. I'm still on the let's review every play. Eye in the sky.
All right. Well, we're on opposite camps there because I don't think we
Well, I'm
should.
not saying we need to nitpick like holding. I'm just saying like, hey,
Well, that's my question. Once you get into the let's review every play, where do you draw the line of we're going to call this even though, it's not there, or we're not going to call this even though we see holding? Like,
yeah.
where do you draw the line if you're going to review every play?
Hey, that's for the people up in the office to figure out, not me, man. I'm just saying, let's get it
Dude,
right.
I'm
Would
just,
you rather? Would you rather
I'm just a
right or?
podcaster.
I think I want to just get it right, you know.
Yeah.
So
No, I don't
then
disagree.
wrong. Even if we're on the wrong side of it.
All right. Well, at least you're consistent, if nothing else.
Yeah. I think if we're, because I think there. I mean, I think there was. I think if they would have reviewed that holding call on the Eagles, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I don't know either. I mean,
I don't know. I mean, I
there-
can say that. I mean, but
are you talking
definitely
about
like
that? Are you talking about the
Yeah.
pass interference against Juju? That one?
Yes, the hold.
Oh yeah, the whole yeah. Yes and no.
Yeah.
It would have
I
been close.
see it.
I think it would have stood just because they called it. Only because when he pulled away, you can see his jersey stretch out.
Right.
And when you see a jersey stretch, you're almost going to get a flag every time. So,
Yeah.
but let's not beat that dead horse.
All right. Well, I think we beat.
real.
I think we beat it. I think we did.
It's not getting back up. We can tell you that. All right. So some other rule changes is tripping and launching will now be considered personal fouls. And so,
Wow.
so launching, they say anything with at least 1 foot off the ground could be considered launching. So that's going to be at the discretion of those referees. So that would be a big play if they call personal fouls for a launching. And
So even if you hit it with your shoulder, or
yeah, it's basically when you leave the rule is basically when you leave your feet to launch yourself into somebody else, because they're basically saying that you're putting your body and their body at risk. And so you're not in control of your body when you're in the air is their thought behind it. So I'm not saying it will become something, but it's just something to take note of in case something comes of it.
Yeah. Well, it'll be interesting to see. Usually, like the first couple of games, you kind of see what the NFL is targeting on. I guess, lack for a better word, right? Is like focus on. They're focused.
Yeah, to emphasize.
Yeah, and so it could have been like I remember one year it was like holding, and so there was so many holding calls. But I think eventually, like week 4 or 5, they're like, we just want clean football. I mean, it's no fun every other play to listen to an umpire or a referee saying holding.
Yeah. Well, and
62.
part of that too, when you do that for 3 or 4 weeks, the teams learn how they have to play too. So it could be different. But one thing they will be emphasizing this year is the use of helmet, and so they're going to be looking at lowering the head. And so this doesn't include to lower your head to embrace for somebody about to hit you, or just initiating contact with the helmet to any part of the opposing player's body. It doesn't have to be helmet to helmet, just helmet to anything, basically.
Anything. I guess that's protecting the defensive player too.
Yeah, it is.
Because you're smashing, but yeah.
Yeah. And so another interesting change, not to the rules, but just to scheduling, is Thursday night games can now be flexed.
That's wild.
So it is. So, but even though they can be flexed, a team cannot play more than 2 Thursday night games in a season. And if they play 2, at least one of those has to be at home. So it's, but yeah, that's still wild. That can you imagine? I mean, they're not going to do it like on a Monday, say, oh, by the way, you're playing Thursday. But even if you have, I don't know, 2 weeks notice or something, you're like, man, that changes a lot, moving from a Sunday to a Thursday.
It's funny because I hear like with the players' interviews and things like that, I hear different things. Like some guys like it, some guys hate it. The guys that like it is like it's almost like an extra bye week when you play on a Thursday, So depending on what it is.
Yep.
But I know Amazon was probably pretty upset with the quality of games they had last year. I think the best one was probably Chiefs San Diego, and that was the first Thursday night game, wasn't it? On Amazon Prime.
Yeah, probably on Amazon Prime it was.
Yeah.
But yeah, so there were a lot of bad games on Thursday night last year, and I'm sure that's why they made that rule. To our benefit, the Chiefs already have 2 Thursday night games scheduled. The first game of the season against the Lions, and later on when we go to the Broncos. So,
well, that first one may not count because it's on NBC, right?
oh, it's still a Thursday night game though.
But okay, all right.
And so a team cannot play more than 2 Thursday night games in the season.
All right, there you go.
If you get it the first week of the season, that's just a benefit to you. That's how I see it.
Yeah. I mean, I feel sorry for the second team the Chiefs play.
Yeah.
Because that's like another I feel sorry for the Lions, and I feel sorry for who is their second game? I can't remember.
The Jaguars. So
yeah. So that's like 2 bye weeks for Andy. That's like 3 bye weeks this year for Andy Reid.
Pretty much. You got it. So, yeah, don't give Andy Reid more time to prepare for you. So
don't do that.
We can just about bet right now that he's already preparing for that first game against the Lions. So, and we'll get into
since the schedule came out, he's been preparing for the Lions.
Yeah, he's going to start implementing it this weekend.
Yeah,
what I should say, I guess. But yeah, so we'll get more into the season and the schedule here. The next episode or two. No, you're good. But yeah, just take note of that. Thursday night's games can now be flexed. So here's a question for you. So there are several guys on the Chiefs team who are injury prone, including Justin Ross that we've mentioned before. Including Kadarius Toney, there's several guys like that. And so here's the question. Some of these guys like Kadarius Toney, Justin Moore, and so a lot of them are at the wide receiver position too that are injury prone. So how confident are you in the Chiefs wide receivers this year if 1 or 2 of these guys go down or are even out for the year?
Yeah, so that is no doubt probably the biggest question mark going into the season is the wide receiver room. I think this personally. And what's funny is because you remember last year, that was probably the biggest question mark because we had Juju, but we didn't know what Juju was going to be. MBS was coming in. He was new. This guy named Skyy Moore. The only guy in there was Nicole Hardman. And he got hurt and was out most of the year. I mean, he had a big game in the playoffs where he caught a big catch. But other than that, man, it was just hit and miss. So I think as long as 1-5 is back there throwing, we're going to be okay.
Yeah, I would agree.
And 87 is line up as tight end. I think we'll be fine.
Well, I think as long as you have Mahomes, he's going to make whoever it is better.
Yeah,
he's going to once they learn how to play with him and how to extend the play when needed.
Right.
Just look at Juju and MVS last year, right? Like the first few games when the plays extend, I'm not saying they weren't trying or weren't running, but they didn't quite understand what Mahomes was wanting them to do. And later on in the season, Juju especially, you saw him kind of figure that out, and Mahomes found him many times when scrambling and extending plays. So it's going to come with that. And I'll say this too: I think Skyy Moore is going to have a much better season this year. I'm not going to say how great yet,
right?
But a lot of people are clamoring that this is going to be, the next big guy kind of thing, and that he's going to be the next big wide receiver for the Chiefs. So here's my question for you. Will Skyy Moore, will he get over 800 yards this year? See, a thousand yards is elite. 8 yards is still pretty good, though.
Pretty good. Oh, yeah. I'm going to say, and I don't hate Skyy Moore, but I'm going to say no.
Yeah.
Because I just think there's too many players, there's too many wide receivers, and I think Mahomes will do what he did last year, where it was just like, I think Juju only have like 900 something?
Yeah, it's something like that. I'd have
it's
under 1,000.
Yeah, so even that, he wasn't like targeted. I think Travis Kelce's gonna have 1,200, over 1,200. I think there'll be a lot of guys 600-700 yards. I think it'll just be
Kelce with 1,200. Huh? You say? Just so you know, I'll make sure to revisit this. Depending on, I'm hoping he does.
Yeah. Well, he'll get for sure over 1,000, right? He's had it for the last 8 seasons.
Yeah, as long as his body holds up, and I only say that because he's getting older, but as long as his body holds up, I think 1,000 is almost guaranteed at this point.
Yeah, he'll get over 1,200
just because he is so good at getting open.
Yeah. We're counting playoffs, right?
No, what are you telling me? You told me 1,200.
I'm saying as long as we're
now,
counting the playoff, as
now
long
it
as we're
seems
counting
like
the Super Bowl,
no,
we
it seems
count
like
the
you're
whole-
changing. It seems like you're changing your story now.
No, I'm just
Are-
clarifying. I'm clarifying where we
yeah,
are.
I'm
Yeah,
sure
just
you.
making sure.
Okay, well, all right, 1,200 yards, including the playoffs. I mean, I
And
thought we
Super
were just
Bowl. Yeah.
and the Super Bowl. I thought we were just talking regular season here, and Dale's already saying,
Yeah.
"Oh no, we're talking all of the above." So,
All the above, right? 1,200. He'll have 1,200.
all right,
Easy.
all right,
Easy.
all right. Hey, I got you written down, so I will
Maybe
follow up.
had that in the first 6 weeks. Might have 1,200. May have that before the bye week 10. So
Maybe. All right. Speaking of Kelsey, here's a question for you. Do you think
Okay.
Kelsey will ever break the tight end record for touchdowns in a season, which is at 18?
Ooh. I think he would have. I think maybe later on in his career.
Later in his career.
Yeah.
So as he gets older.
As he gets older, I think what they would do is just put him in the game at the goal line sets, and just he gets open, and he'll still be able to do it. I think he's still a mismatch for any linebacker or safety. And so, yeah, I think maybe they'd be like, hey, let's go chase that record. Let's get 19.
Yeah. All right. So
Who holds that record? Do you know?
Gronk does.
Oh.
So, yeah, they were talking about it on their podcast when they had Gronk on there. So I don't know how many Travis Kelce has got, but he's probably got 12 to 13, somewhere right around there, maybe 14.
Yeah.
So hasn't quite got close to 18 yet, but it's possible that he could get it, but I'm not going to say that he's going to. That's a tough mark for anybody to get.
Oh yeah. So, well, he scored. He got 4 in one game against the Raiders, right?
Yeah, he did with like 25 yards. So, yeah. All right. Well, I gave you my number for Skyy Moore, but what about this? Well, Skyy Moore on the betting lines is at 680 yards. Do you think he'll get that?
Yeah. I think 680. I take 680.
Yeah, I think he's going to be somewhere around 700 to 750 is what I think. So
Yeah. 680 for sure. Let's go ahead and mark that in.
All right. Don't worry, I got it marked in here. So
yeah, as long as he stays healthy, right? Yeah.
Well, that's part of the gamble is
I guess
whether he's healthy or not. Is he going to get 680? That's the question. So we can always throw it back out, but but the real question is, especially for injury guys, is Tony, right? That guy.
Oh yeah.
He is injury prone. So I'll ask you this: do you think Tony? Do you think he'll play in more or less than, let's say, 10 games this year?
Oh my goodness!
So that's a little more.
So he has to play 11. He has to play 11, or he plays 10, right? Yeah. So more or less than 10. Oh, see, I was thinking 8 games is what my gut tells me. 8 games.
That's why I put it at 10 here.
Yeah.
Because I think he'll play in like 7, maybe 8 games, but just he's injury prone. So
he's injured. Yeah, I think what you need to make sure he's healthy at the end of the year. I think that's probably the most important thing. It's just because I think he is a game changer. He is dynamic. His body doesn't move as fast as his mind, and it betrays him. So.
Yeah, so I think you're right. He wants to move much faster than sometimes his body can, and so I think they're going to err on the side of caution when he's injured, so that he could be ready for the playoffs,
right?
For if and when they get there. So
when we get there.
Hey, we're not talking about the season yet. I'm just talking.
I know
generally,
I know.
But yes, I think they will get there.
So, I know. Yeah, I'm getting excited now. This podcast is making me excited about the season.
Hey. If it doesn't, I don't know how it can. I mean,
I'm just thinking
the season's coming. The season's coming.
What's today? We're 20. I think we're like
today's the 22nd. So yeah, today's the 22nd.
16 days away from football, NFL football,
something like that. I don't know exactly. So, but somewhere
that's unreal.
Yeah. All right. So, last 2 questions for you. First off, who should be quarterback 2? Should it be Blaine Gabbert or should it be Shane Buechele? Because we're just gonna say that they're gonna have all 3 on the team.
Yeah.
But with the rule, whoever the third quarterback is, the third quarterback cannot play
Right.
any snap unless the first two quarterbacks are hurt.
Right. So I would say Blaine Gabbert, just because he's played in the NFL longer. Shane Michelle, he's a little bit of a wild card. And so I think he tries to do a lot of off script things. I think Blaine will do exactly what Andy Reid tells him to do and then get it done. So I think, my backup quarterback would be Blaine Gabbert. And that's not just because I'm a Mizzou fan, but because I think he's the best call.
All right. Hey, I would agree with you because I think Andy Reid loves having that veteran guy there.
Yeah.
And a guy has experience. Man, you saw even when he was in the game in that last preseason game, he was on the money. So he had a perfect quarterback rating even. So I'd still have that guy as my number 2. So, and last question here. What about Chris Jones?
Oh, man.
He hasn't shown up to training camp yet. He has another year under his contract, but he apparently is asking for $30 million a year or more for a new contract extension.
Wow.
And so Aaron Donald is the highest paid, I believe, at $31.5 a year. And the next closest is somewhere around $23.5 million a year. So there's a big drop off between first and second.
Yeah. And I think it's been reported that the Chiefs offered him a huge deal, but it wasn't big enough, I guess, for him.
Yeah, I heard that, but I don't know what they offered, just that it was big.
Yeah, I don't think numbers came out. I would say they would probably offer him somewhere 27, 26, somewhere around there. I would think. I don't know. Because if you're that close, but man, what do you do?
So
do you sign? I say you've got to sign him, but
well, I'll tell you this. I would only sign him for the right deal because Brett Veach has proven there's only one guy you pay whatever he wants, and that's Patrick Mahomes.
Right.
And I'm not saying that Chris Jones doesn't deserve to be paid. He does. He is a great player.
Right.
But the other side is when you're already paying one guy whatever he wants in Mahomes, you don't have the money to pay everybody whatever they want, even if they are apparently worth it. Because as Brett Veach has proven, he's not building a roster to win for 1 year.
Right.
Brett Veach is building rosters to win year after year. And so if you build for 1 year, you're going to end up in the same scenario as the LA Rams did. They went all in 1 year and they won their Super Bowl. The problem is after that, they did nothing and they fell off a cliff and no one knows much of them anymore because they went all in 1 year and they don't have the money for all those other guys anymore. So I say you only pay Chris Jones if you can work out a deal that's going to help the team long-term. Because even if you pay him a little bit now or a little bit later, eventually whatever you pay him is going to hit your cap and hurt your team at some point. So it's got to make sense in the long run.
Do signing bonuses hit the cap?
It's a great question. I do not believe so, but a lot of it is, a pride thing for these players. They just want to be the best and highest paid.
Yeah, we'll pay you $25 million for the next 4 years, and then give you a $20 million signing bonus.
All right,
there's your $30 million.
I'd go with it if he'd go for it. So
just do something. I know Clark's got it. Clark's got it.
Well, hopefully they'll get something worked out before the season starts, and we can see him in Chiefs red and gold again.
So, what do you think if they don't get it worked out? You think they're just sitting?
No, Chris Jones will play. He'll play.
He'll just play. Yeah.
He just won't show up till the season starts, but he'll play. So
okay, because I don't think it goes well for you to sit out a year.
No, it doesn't. He won't sit out. He'll play.
He'll play. Just be mad. Be mad at the world.
I'm telling you right now, he's going to play.
Okay, write that down.
Well, thanks for joining us in this episode of the Kingdom Corner. This episode is brought to you by Ohey Threads, where a portion of every purchase goes to support missions all over the world, one super soft tee at a time. We'll see you in the next episode, and go Chiefs.